February 2020, Melly was involved in a multi-inmate fight inside the day room of his area unit and was given a DR for his role in the fight. October 2020, placed on a room restriction for refusing to go back to his cell as he was trying to hide while on the phone.
And developing now, there's a new push to get rapper YNW Melly out of jail. He's currently awaiting retrial with two childhood friends, but a new lawsuit alleges he's being held in inhumane conditions.
This is the moment the world will never forget. YNW Melly's release from jail has shocked everyone, leaving us all in disbelief. Everything happened so suddenly, so strangely, like a dangerous game between life and death, and now Melly is free. But is this really the truth? Was this release just a legal decision? Or is there something more we haven't been told? When Melly's mother stepped outside the courtroom, her eyes filled with tears as she spoke, and she said, "We're just praying, but how much longer can we hold on?"
We just still praying. I know I said I would I'll keep everybody updated with what's happening. I know right now we're waiting. So basically the judge is going to do, I guess, a written order. So we're just waiting, and that order can come any minute, or it could come tomorrow. I don't know. So we're just waiting. We're just waiting. So everybody just keep praying, keep having faith. Oh, Tessa, stop. I've been crying too. It's been a long time coming, you know.
Those words will make your heart break, because no one can truly understand the pain of a mother who's fighting for her son. The emotion, the fear, the uncertainty, it's unbearable. But that's not all. While Melly's DNA was not found at the crime scene, it was discovered on the car handle, raising even more questions about his involvement. And then there's Bortland, the co-defendant, who's now accused of witness tampering, and with everything he's done, the story is starting to unravel in the most shocking way. This isn't just a trial. It's a battle for justice, a fight for truth, a test of loyalty. Melly's release could mean there's a much deeper secret waiting to be uncovered. What if everything we thought we knew was wrong? What if the truth is darker than we could have imagined? As this story unfolds, we're left asking, was Melly's release the start of a cover-up?
Issue here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. Just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking the penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
You won't believe what's really happening behind the scenes. The courtroom was silent. Melly's fate hung in the balance, and his freedom was at the mercy of the law. His fans waited in anxious anticipation, hoping for a miracle, praying that justice would be served. What happened next is a twist no one saw coming. YNW Melly, the rapper caught in a storm of accusations, was officially released from jail. But the truth behind his release? That's where things get complicated. February 2020, YNW Melly was involved in a fight inside the prison. It was violent, and it cost him more than just a couple of bruises. The result? A disciplinary report, DR, filed against him. This was just one of the many incidents that seemed to follow him wherever he went. Yet, through it all, Melly held on to one thing, his will to survive. And that fight didn't just take place inside the prison. It continued long after, with his lawyers battling to get him free.
Mr. Henry is going to remain set for trial September the 10th at 9 o'clock with Mr. Jennings, pending whatever future motion that I may hear. I'm in another capital case right now. I have 4 hearing dates left available between now and September the 10th. I gave the parties those 4 dates, and I'm holding all of those dates and times open only for these 2 defendants. So anything that you need, okay? Yes, sir.
October 2020, Melly was placed under room restriction for refusing to return to his cell while on the phone. This was just the beginning. The ongoing battles, both legal and emotional, had begun to tear him apart. Every new day brought a fresh wave of pressure, but Melly never gave in. Fast forward to today. It was supposed to be another day in court, another fight for freedom. But this time, something different happened. Melly's lawyers managed to secure a hearing to release him from jail. The clock was ticking, and Melly's fate was in the hands of the judge. His lawyers presented a new argument, one that could change everything: the evidence. Melly's lawyers knew they had to pull out every weapon in their arsenal.
Those were his lives. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
The trial, delayed until 2027, seemed like an eternity away. But what if they could get him released before then? The key was in the inhumane conditions he was being held under. Melly's mother, Pamela Warner, stepped up outside the courthouse to give an emotional update. She had been fighting for her son's life, both in the courtroom and in the prison system.
We just keep praying.
I know it's hard, but we're holding on. We're waiting, just waiting, she said, her voice breaking under the weight of the years-long battle. Her words were raw, desperate, and painfully honest. She looked like a woman who had been through the fire and come out scarred, but still standing. And yet, it felt like they were still miles from the finish line. But then, the unthinkable happened. After years of delays, legal back and forths, and media scrutiny, the judge made a decision that shocked everyone. YNW Melly was set free. But the reason for his release? That's where the dark truth begins to unfold.
The twist.
While Melly was celebrating his temporary victory, a storm was brewing. In a courtroom filled with tension, a new order was issued. Melly was to be separated from his co-defendant, Bortland. This change in the trial dynamics was more than just a procedural move. It was a clear indication that the prosecution was about to play its trump card. The court ruled that Melly and Bortland would no longer face trial together.
But why?
The real answer is that Bortland was being forced to snitch. The state wanted him to testify against Melly. To the prosecutors, trying them separately was the only way to ensure they could force the truth out of both men. But for Bortland, the pressure was becoming unbearable. Was he willing to betray his friend? Was Melly's life really worth saving? Melly's lawyer knew they had a window, and they were determined to use it. But Melly's case was far from simple. Yes, his DNA wasn't found on the crime scene, but it was discovered on the car handle, the same car where two of his childhood friends were shot and killed. It was the same car where everything went horribly wrong. Witness tampering scandal. But things took a darker turn. While Melly was being celebrated by his fans, there was a growing scandal threatening to ruin everything. Witness tampering. Cortland Henry, aka Bortland, was accused of interfering with witnesses, trying to manipulate the outcome of the trial in his favor. He wasn't just a defendant, he was now part of a much bigger conspiracy. Bortland was alleged to have tampered with key witnesses, including a mysterious person who had been summoned to testify in the Melly case. This individual was essential to the prosecution's case, but Bortland's actions threatened to destroy everything. Bortland's raid, the discovery of juror notes, and the strange, cryptic messages he had sent raised more questions than answers. Was he trying to influence the trial outcome? Was he working behind the scenes, pulling strings, and setting the stage for Melly's downfall? It's hard to ignore the possibility that Bortland, once thought to be a simple co-defendant, might now be the key to unlocking a much bigger and more disturbing story. Melly's defiant stand. As if the pressure wasn't enough, Melly himself made a bold move during the trial. Defying his lawyer's advice, He told the court that he wanted to move forward, against all odds. "I don't care," he said defiantly. "They can't prove anything about me. I'm not a gang member." His words were a declaration of war against the legal system that had been trying to break him. But the cost of defying his legal team could be catastrophic. Melly's team knew what they were up against. The prosecutors had gathered more evidence they believed would finally bring Melly to justice. But was it enough? The clock was ticking, and the world was watching. This wasn't just a legal battle, it was a war for survival. As the days pass, Melly's release feels more like the calm before a storm. The world watches in disbelief, not knowing if they should celebrate his newfound freedom or brace for what's coming next. But then, the unimaginable happens. A shocking new development sends the media into a frenzy. Melly's co-defendant, Bortland, the man who has stood by him from day one, is now flipping the script. The court is on edge, and all eyes are glued to the drama unfolding behind the scenes. Bortland, once seen as a reluctant partner in crime, is now being backed into a corner. The pressure is mounting, and the weight of betrayal looms large. He's now accused of attempting to manipulate the witnesses, a move that could destroy the entire case. The court is stunned by the allegations. How could someone who is supposed to be part of this trial be so desperate to change the outcome? And that's when the true horror of what's been going on behind closed doors comes to light. Bortland's involvement with the tampered evidence, including the jurors' notes, shows a level of manipulation few could have imagined. What was he planning? Was this all part of a greater plan to destroy Melly? Or was he trying to save himself at all costs? But the plot thickens. The state has enough evidence to make a dramatic move, and Bortland's future is now uncertain. As the trial date looms, the revelation that Bortland might be forced to testify against Melly becomes more and more likely. This is no longer about justice, it's about survival. Meanwhile, Melly's lawyers are desperately trying to make sense of everything. They know that if Bortland cracks under pressure, the case could go south faster than anyone can anticipate. They prepare for a war on all fronts, not just with the prosecution, but with a man who was once considered Melly's closest ally. Melly's fate is hanging by a thread, and the emotional toll is becoming unbearable for those closest to him. His mother, Pamela Warner, the woman who has fought tirelessly for her son's freedom, is left to pick up the pieces of a shattered dream. As she faces the cameras once more, she's overwhelmed with emotion. "I just don't know how much longer we can hold on," she says, her voice breaking. "But I'll never stop fighting for him. Never." Her words ring out as a painful reminder of the emotional wreckage this case has caused. Melly's mother is a symbol of a love so strong, it refuses to be broken. Yet, no matter how hard she fights, the truth remains elusive. Will Melly ever truly be free, or is he bound to repeat the vicious cycle that has plagued him for years? Melly's defiant stance. Through all of this, Melly stands defiant. He refuses to back down. His lawyers advise him to remain calm, to focus on his defense. But Melly has other plans. The rapper, now free on bail, decides to take a risk. He publicly declares that he will fight back against everything that's been said about him. They can't prove anything.
I'm not a part of that gang.
"I'm not guilty," he says with conviction. But his outburst only adds fuel to the fire. The media runs wild with the story. Was he admitting guilt? Or was this just a desperate attempt to clear his name? Everyone seems to have an opinion, but no one really knows the truth. And then, just when it seems like Melly might have a chance to finally turn things around, a new twist in the case threatens to rip everything apart. The FBI agent who's been analyzing Melly's phone, the key piece of evidence in this case, takes the stand. What he says next could change everything. "You can never pinpoint someone's exact location just by looking at phone records," the agent states, his voice steady and confident. "We can tell where they are generally, but that's it. There's no exact science to this." The revelation sends shockwaves through the courtroom, especially for Melly's defense team. If this evidence can't tie Melly to the crime scene with certainty, can the prosecution even make their case? The DNA evidence. As the dust settles, the DNA evidence comes into play. Melly's legal team breathes a small sigh of relief as they learn that his DNA was not found on any of the key pieces of evidence. The swabs from the Gucci sandals, the Air Jordans, even the Gatorade bottles, all were free of his DNA. For a moment, it seemed like Melly might finally catch a break. But then the bombshell. Melly's DNA was found on the car handle, the very car where the two victims, Juvie and Sackchaser, were brutally murdered. The defense team is left scrambling. Why would Melly's DNA be on the car handle if he wasn't involved in the crime? Was it a sign of his guilt? Or was there another explanation? As Melly's lawyers try to piece together the puzzle, another shocking twist emerges. The authorities have now linked Fredo Bang, a well-known rapper and Melly's associate, to the crime. The feds claim they have proof that Fredo was the one who picked up Melly after the crime, a chilling development that casts even more suspicion on Melly's role in the killings. But does this new evidence prove Melly's innocence, or does it only add to the web of lies and deceit? The truth, but at what cost? As the trial continues, the emotional and psychological toll on Melly's mother becomes evident. She can't watch her son unravel like this. She's fought too long and too hard to see him fall into the same pit of despair that has claimed so many others. But despite her pain, she knows this fight isn't over. "I will keep fighting for my son, no matter what. I won't stop," she says, her eyes burning with determination. But at what cost? Melly's case is becoming a tangled mess of contradictions, lies, and unspoken truths. Will he be freed from the web of conspiracy that's been woven around him? Or will his fate be sealed in the very courtroom where so many others have failed before him? The world is watching. And as this drama unfolds, it's clear, Melly's story is far from over. The question is, how will it end? The courtroom is packed, the tension thick. Every pair of eyes is glued to Melly and his defense team, hanging on every word. The world has been waiting for a final verdict, but what happens next is beyond anyone's wildest imagination. The drama that's unfolded over the past few months has now reached a boiling point, and it's clear that no one is prepared for what's about to come. Melly's final stand. Melly stands at the center of the storm, his future uncertain, his world crashing down around him. He's faced down accusations, betrayal, and the relentless pressure of a justice system that wants to make an example out of him. His defiant attitude, though, speaks volumes. Melly refuses to back down. He's fought too hard for too long, and now, in a desperate move to take control of his fate, he speaks out in the courtroom once again. "I'm innocent," he declares, his voice unwavering. "They can't prove anything. I didn't do this." His words echo through the courtroom, but his eyes, cold, determined, tell a different story. Is he lying? Or is he truly the victim of a massive, orchestrated conspiracy? The questions swirl in the air, and for the first time in this entire ordeal, Melly seems to be in control. But as the judge calls for a recess, the calm before the storm is broken. The evidence that's been kept hidden for months is finally revealed. The bombshell. The defense team calls for the DNA analysis to be revisited. The results from the first trial didn't tell the full story. Melly's DNA on the car handle was one thing, but what about the rest of the scene? New evidence comes to light, evidence that could change everything. The bloodstains, the gunpowder residue, the strange absence of key witnesses. All of it points to one thing. Melly might have been framed. A new forensic expert steps forward, revealing shocking information about the scene. Based on the new analysis, we believe that the crime scene was tampered with, the expert says, his voice calm but loaded with the weight of his words. The evidence doesn't add up. There's a strong possibility that someone else staged the scene to make it look like Melly was involved. The courtroom is left stunned. Melly's fans hold their breath, praying that the truth will finally be uncovered. For the first time in the entire case, there's a glimmer of hope that Melly might be innocent. Could it be? Could Melly, the man who's been accused of murdering his childhood friends, actually be the victim of a setup? But just as it seems like the tide is turning in Melly's favor, another bombshell drops. Bortland's betrayal. Bortland, the man who once stood by Melly, has finally broken. His testimony is a game changer. In a shocking move, he walks into the courtroom and claims that Melly had nothing to do with the murders. But his words don't carry the weight of loyalty. No, Bortland's testimony is drenched in regret and fear. He's seen too much, and now he's backing down from his earlier statements. The pressure, the threats, everything has pushed him to the breaking point. "I don't want to go down for something I didn't do," Bortland says, his voice trembling. "Melly didn't do it. I lied. I've lied for too long." His confession sends ripples through the courtroom. The air feels thick, suffocating. Melly's defense team can barely believe their ears. But Bortland's admission doesn't clear Melly. It only adds more confusion and suspicion to an already tangled case. Is Bortland telling the truth now, or is he still trying to protect himself? Is his testimony enough to free Melly, or does it just make things worse? As Bortland sits down, his eyes empty, it becomes clear that the emotional weight of this trial is taking a toll on everyone involved. Melly's fate. Is this the end? Outside the courtroom, the media frenzy has reached a fever pitch. Fans of Melly flood social media, demanding answers. "Melly is innocent," the posts shout. But there's something different now. There's a sense of unsettling dread in the air. The world doesn't just want to know the truth. They need to know it because this case has become bigger than just a trial. It's now about the lies, the corruption, and the conspiracy that might have brought Melly to the edge. Inside the courtroom, the jury is still deliberating. The clock ticks, the silence deafening. Melly's lawyers hold their breath, hoping the truth will finally be enough to set him free. But the wait feels like an eternity. And then, just as it seems like the case is about to close, another twist changes everything. Mariah Hamilton, the missing witness. The prosecution calls for one last piece of evidence, the testimony of Melly's ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, who had mysteriously disappeared before the first trial. She's been in hiding, out of the country, but now she's returned. Mariah has a terrifying story to tell, a story that could change the entire trajectory of this case. "I was forced to leave," she says, her voice shaking. "Melly made me disappear. He told me to stay away, so I wouldn't testify." The courtroom falls into stunned silence. Witness tampering, a charge that could carry life in prison, has now been added to the already long list of accusations against Melly. Melly's face falls. He looks at his lawyers, but he knows the truth is slipping away. The walls are closing in, and his past actions have come back to haunt him in the most unexpected ways. The final decision. The jury files in. The moment the courtroom has been waiting for has arrived. The judge stands, his gavel raised. The verdict will change everything. Melly's freedom hangs by a thread, and no one knows what the outcome will be. Will Melly finally be set free, or will he face a lifetime in prison for crimes he may, or may not, have committed? The weight of his actions, the betrayals, and the emotional wreckage have all led to this moment. And when the gavel finally comes down, the world will never be the same. The story isn't over yet. The truth is still out there, waiting to be uncovered. As the final verdict hangs in the air, the tension has reached a boiling point. What happens next will change everything. YNW Melly's fate is sealed. Either he walks free, or he faces a lifetime behind bars for crimes that may or may not be his. But the truth is still a mystery. How much longer can we wait for justice to prevail? Melly's fight is our fight. This isn't just about a celebrity trial. This is about power, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of truth. We've seen the DNA, the lies, the manipulations, and the shocking confessions that have shaken the courtroom to its core. But now, we need your voice. The world is watching, but we are the ones who can demand the truth. What do you believe? Do you think Melly is innocent? Was he framed? Or was he the one pulling the strings all along? The choice is yours to make. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a conversation. Your voice matters, because in a case this big, we can't let it be forgotten. Hit that like button if you believe that Melly deserves justice, and share this video with everyone you know. We need to spread the word. The world has to hear the truth. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an update. This story is far from over, and we're in this together. As we wait for the truth to come out, one thing is clear. The saga of YNW Melly is one that will be remembered forever. Will justice finally be served? Or is there something even darker at play? The answer lies in you. Let's uncover the truth together.